We've got this solution that we could not only help agents out there that are in commercial insurance, but also help their insurance, right? To lower total cost of risk. And one of our biggest things that I'm really proud about, there's nothing like this out there, is our risk management program. So on day one, we have over 500 risk management programs.
I think that the problem is with most producers, they say whatever they need to say to get the deal done. Oh, I'll always answer my phone. I'll always be available. And they may very well have the technical acumen to be able to deliver this stuff, but they're not going to be able to answer their phone all the time when it's needed. They're not always going to be available.
Riskbly is a single platform for independent commercial agents to deliver everything commercial insurance. And it's completely white labeled, branded to your agency. There's nothing out there like it. A lot of our competition can't do that. You, the agent, the insured, has to work within the frame walls of what that software company built. I wanted to have a platform that we could roll out to agents and it have all this content and all these tools.
So many times we go to underwriters and we tell them, we don't show them. If you can show them, case closed. You're going to get the best opportunity, best pricing that you possibly could. They do not trust agents because why? Agents tell them stories, and that's not how we roll, at least in my community. We want to show them what we're doing instead of just telling them.
Riskbly is completely tailored or tailorable to however the agent wants to set it up. So there's a number of different fail safes.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Power Producers Podcast, where we are refining and redefining the sales game. And one of the ways we do that is we bring people on who have incredibly cool new tools that make our jobs easier. And our guest today is no exception. It's Lawson Condell from Riskbly. Make sure I say that. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. And he has empowered producers to deliver content and risk management services, for lack of a better term. And we're going to get into that and let him explain all of it, but in a cost-effective way that allows you to have the conversations you need to have to get the deals done without focusing on the features and benefits of your flipping insurance policies. So what's up, man? And by the way, Lawson's also a CBK in Killing Commercial. You know, he knows the drill and how we think and the theory behind it, which I'm going to go ahead and selfishly take some sort of credit here and say that that's partially the inspiration behind what you built, but I'm obviously tongue-in-cheek kidding. But really, just want to talk a little bit about what you're doing with Riskbly, how it's empowering producers out there, and how they can get involved with what you've got going on, because I think that you're starting to get a little bit of traction based on what I'm seeing out there in the marketplace. Yeah. But before we do that, I know you were in the military. I know you were with ADP for a while, you know, doing payroll and that stuff. Talk a little bit about your background and how you got to where we're at now.
Yeah. Well, David, thank you so much just for the opportunity to be here. You're such a force in the insurance world. So just to be a part of this is it's a huge honor. So thank you so much. So yeah,
I'm just one of the boys, man.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Right. I love it. So yeah, I had dreams coming out of college to go into FBI or some type of federal law enforcement. So I joined the Air Force. I was an MP. And then right after 9/11, we got called up for 2 years. And that burned up my, on and off the deployments, that burned up my urge to carry a weapon. So when I don't look very cool with my head shaved. So they were like, Condell, you gotta get out. Right. So,
hey, the hair looks good today, man. You got game show host hair today.
Yeah. So that's, I appreciate it. So I got recruited by ADP, and it's a great sales program. And that was where I cut my teeth on commercial insurance with workers' comp. They're pay as you go and selling business to business, and I loved it. And from that point, I was recruited on to a company called Thompson Reuters, and I did more guidance, SaaS solutions with Thompson Reuters. It was to CFOs, CPAs on GAAP, HR, risk, SEC, any type of compliance or vulnerability to the business. We were selling expert guidance on how to avoid it and how to map the company through. And then later was recruited over to Oracle and was with their ERP solutions. And they were in a process of going from on-prem, which is, on computers, to the cloud, right? So they were doing a transition there, but was with their ERP, HCM, which is their solutions too. And I had hospital systems in higher ed. And then I actually left for about 6 months to a year and did a tech startup. and then came back and had named accounts. So that it gave me a great experience on sales and risk and guidance. And then, but ultimately, I really wanted to own my own company. So when I was with Oracle, my last stint, I searched and searched and searched what I wanted to do. And insurance, it just touches everything. So I started an agency called Safe Harbor. And our vertical, our niche expertise really fell on, my background was technology and then hospital systems, so regional hospital systems. And as I started that, I found that, regardless of what, if it was a landscape or a hospital system or a tech company, the way I would deliver commercial insurance, the system was broken. There's just siloed data systems. It was a manual effort. It was a bad experience for myself and for the insured. I had no real-time insight into what was going on. And so I built Riskbly. I built it for my agency, right? And it came in stages, and I'll kind of talk about that, how we built it and how we added on and the kind of the plans to go with it. But it gave us time to QC it, because any type of SaaS product can break, but we, built it out, worked on it intensely. And the more I showed it to other agents, the more they were saying, I got to have it. This is what I need. And so more and more our team found that saying, hey, we've got this solution that we could not only help agents out there that are in commercial insurance, but also help their insurance, right? To lower total cost of risk, which is something that you talk a lot about. So
Let
it
me ask
was
you a
a
question. Let me
win-win.
stop you for 1 second.
Yeah.
Like when you were talking with the agents and they said, this is something we need, why? Like what,
Yeah.
there's a million products out there,
Yeah.
and I'm being devil's advocate
Yeah.
here, obviously, but
Yeah.
I want you to get the message out as to why your
Yeah.
product was something agents felt like they needed when you've got all the 800-pound gorillas out there that are already, doing something. No
Yeah.
offense, it's not the same thing that you're doing, but I think to the layman, it's similar, or
Yeah.
it's trying to solve the same problem at a bare minimum. What was different about Riskbly that got people's attention?
Great question. So Riskbly is a single platform for independent commercial agents to deliver everything commercial insurance. And it's completely white labeled, branded to your agency. There's nothing out there like it. So what Riskbly does is different than now some of our competitors out there do some singular feature functionality. And what I found as an agent, when I go, hey, David, here's for your landscape company, hey, for your plumbing company, for your regional hospital system, if I give you 7 different logins, right? One, the adoption rate, the user rate plummets, right? You're just not going to use. You're still going to call me. You're going to ask different things. 2, I believe as an agent, I lose legitimacy saying, hey, here is another login for another domain, right? I wanted something that said, Lawson is the expert. Lawson is providing you this risk guidance, right? Lawson is the partner to your business to lower risk and lower cost, right? So Riskbly does all that. The biggest thing when we first started was to have all the policy documents, right? And not only the policy documents that I have, but maybe previous years that they can build upon it. And that's the thing about Riskbly is that the agent, the insured, for a lot of my hospital systems, I'd say, okay, well, I have these things for clinicians and I would like to add those files in. You can do that, right? A lot of our competition can't do that. The agent, the insured has to work within the frame walls of what that software company built. I wanted to have a platform that we could roll out to agents and it have all this content and all these tools. But the agent, like I had my experience with tech and hospital and healthcare, all these agents that I meet, they bring this plethora of information and expertise in certain verticals, right? And I want those agents to be able to say, hey, I'm an expert in racetracks. I'm an expert in airports, right? I'm an expert in lawn care, right? And to be able to build upon this system. Riskbly, also, we've partnered with, and stop me at any time, we've partnered with a safety video company. That's probably the only area that we do have outside branding because I want, it's EHS small business. I want I want the insured to be able to see that. We have over 300 different videos and we're adding to it weekly. But I wanted something that on day one, the agent can say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Insured, here's all these videos that you can roll out to your employees to help lower risk, lower cost, be compliant. Are you going for a certain bid? A lot of construction companies go for a bid and they have to show that they're rolling out different types of training, right? We can show all that. You can have all that in that one platform. That's not going outside to a different one. Riskbly, when you go into it, when I demoed it to my healthcare companies or to my, I would show it on either my phone or a mobile, mobile tablet, right? But if you go to, desktop, it's going to have, the insured will never see Riskbly. They'll see on the domain, they'll see, Florida Risk Partners or whatever it is. I don't want any insured to ever see Riskbly. I want Florida Risk Partners to be the expert, right? So we have that. We have all kinds of guidance. So we have a full HR library, and we have an employment attorney on retainer that reviews it, right? We have risk guidance that for a lot of our competition, it's drinking from a fire hose, right? You're a plumber and you go in and you got to find where the plumbing is. We have what we call grouping. So when we set it up and when you go forward and you set it up, so if you want to add risk guidance, when your insureds log in and they're a plumber, they're only going to see plumbing guidance, risk management guidance, right? When I deal with a vendor, I want them to be an expert in insurance or software, right? I don't want to say, hey, we also do all these things and, we'll match you to, but for you guys, is to give those guidance, right? HR, risk, safety. And one of our biggest things that I'm really proud about, there's nothing like this out there, is our risk management program. So on day one, we have over 500 risk management programs, right? So, and this is something I think you really like, David, is to say, hey, the agent comes in. So what I found is I would come in and as I speak to so many agents, and maybe this is the same as you, we go in, they're having all these losses, all these injuries. We go through the diagnosis, we form a plan, we give them the information. This is prior to Riskbly, and I leave, and the business owner goes back to doing what drives their business, putting out fires, making sales, right? I become an afterthought, right? So 6 months later, or right at renewal, I call back, right? I meet with them and they haven't done anything, right? They're frustrated. I'm frustrated. Riskbly gives the independent agent over 500 different risk management programs that they can assign to their insureds to say, hey, David, you're having people getting injured on ladders. Here's a ladder safety program over the next 12 months that you can implement a couple steps each month. By the end of 12 months, you'll have a full risk management program. Here you're having people getting tickets, right? In your commercial auto policy, cyber, right? Whatever the agent diagnoses as the problem, they can roll out these programs, and Riskbly gives the agent real-time insight into where the insured is in that process. Different than anything else out there. So month 2, I can see, David, if you're falling behind, right? So I can have that call to say, hey, we talked about it. You said this is important. A couple steps. I can see if you've assigned it to anybody. I can see if you've checked it off where you are. I can see what next couple steps are. So it's revolutionizing. It's revolutionizing. Sorry, I talk with my hands. How the agent can interact with their clients, and they can make, with that information, they can make real-time, more informed decisions rather than at the end of, at renewal and 6 months in when they touch back, they're coming in blind of where the insured is in the risk management process. So that's kind of our 4 core competencies right now. We have a number of things we're rolling out, but that's really our 4 core competencies right now for our agents.
Talk a little bit about the adoption rate, because I think one of the things agencies struggle with, and I understand you have the ability to assign that stuff, in even with the proprietary stuff that we do in-house, we have that ability through some of the things that we do, and HubSpot is the backbone behind that to make sure tasks and reminders and all of that stuff are are sent. And then ultimately, we hired Abby O'Brien to come in and be the person who is now hammering to make sure that these things are getting done. Because as you know, we tend to visit the sick, and we get hired because we can solve problems that people are facing. But I can't want it more than they do. So, the issue has always been, and I think this is true for any of the products that are on the market today, regardless. And I'm interested as to how Riskbly's navigating this. What's the adoption rate at the client level? I mean, have you noticed that there's an increase? And if you have, I have to believe some of it is because it's triggering you as the agent to follow up. But are there mechanisms built inside the product itself that are giving reminders to the end user to make sure they're going through and doing the things they need to do?
Yes. Riskbly is completely tailored or tailorable to however the agent wants to set it up. So there's a number of different fail safes. First of all, to kind of talk to initial adoption rate, one of the things that we kind of train on is when I was using Riskbly, I would set it up for prospects, right? I would say, here's the platform. There's a dashboard.
Yeah, why not? It doesn't cost any extra.
That's right. And I'm going to turn it off in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever the final you buy or you don't buy with us, right? So, but also, because we have such high security in the system, we use basically Amazon's AWS, database system. So it's very secure. We'll have the prospect upload all their documents on the dashboard. We can put a checklist of all the different things that we need, so we can see where they are. We're going to communicate through them. We're going to offer different trainings, announcements, updates, but we're going to start training the insured to communicate through here, right? Also, there are notifications through the app. It's a mobile-ready platform, but through the app. But it also sends out certificates, emails. So, like when we upload certificates, when a certificate is ready, excuse me, the insured will get an email on, excuse me, an email on that. So, a number of different ways to engage that insured into using the platform as a method of communication. They can schedule time in Riskbly with the agent. They can email the agent directly. They can ask EHS Business and Corey's team, a safety expert, right? So there's a number of different things to really drive engagement for that insured.
As I'm sitting here listening to you talk, man, you need to hook up with my man, Jess Dantis, and figure out a way to integrate Zinjuries for workers' comp claims management into the app so that they can look at their dashboard and see not only what they're doing to proactively try and engineer their way around it, but then when the claim actually happens, making sure they're staying on top of that too. And then you could be capturing the information. Like, I'm inventing a product here in real time, people, but then gathering the data from the claims activity that Zinjuries managing across that client or even your entire book of plumbers, and then populating automatically with the things they need to implement to make sure that those things aren't going to continue to happen.
I 100% agree. There are so many amazing companies like Zinjuries out there that are doing specific, just amazing stuff that in a lot of these incubators, insurtech incubators that we've been in on payments and claims and different things that we've met these other partners that we are starting to work with to integrate, to say, hey, you've got a great platform, you've got a great service, we'd like to partner with you. Riskbly is ultimately there to change the experience for the insured, right? To give a vehicle, to give a spaceship to the agent, right? Because now it's all disconnected and everything like that. The agent, the broker, I believe, will always be important, especially in commercial, right? Their expertise and everything like that, that'll never go away. Riskbly gives that agent the vehicle, right? So if we can partner with great companies like Zinjuries, I think it's foolproof.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Agents want to give this stuff to their clients because it's a huge value add. But I
Yes.
think that the problem is with most producers, they say whatever they need to say to get the deal done. Oh, I'll always answer my phone. I'll always be available. And they may very well have the technical acumen to be able to deliver this stuff, but they're not going to be able to answer their phone all the time when it's needed. They're not always going to be available. And so, I think that you actually do yourself a greater service by making the technology available for people to, I don't want to say self-serve because you are holding their hand a little bit, but you're getting the content delivery to them in a way that it makes the producer look good without the producer having to do it.
Right. That's right. And they can assign a CSR, right? They can assign a CSR to manage a lot of things and to monitor it and update content and things like that. So they can still go out and be selling, right? And two, another line that we're finding that we have an e-signature ability is E&O, right? So we have a proposal tool we're sending out so that, the agent can document, hey, we offered flood, we offered this, we offered cyber, right? Different things, and they signed off on it. These are different things too that they can help document that process rather than having to dig through emails and things like that.
Yeah, and I could even see the integration into video proposals and stuff
Yes,
where when you recommend this stuff and there's a link that you can click that opens up in another window with an explainer video of
100%.
telling you exactly why it's important. Or even, I think one of the things that's cool about Forge 3's website, I don't know how effective it is, but the clickable coverage where you hover over something and it tells you what a potential issue is and which coverage would apply to it and how. But even like case studies or claim scenarios, I've always thought it would be really cool to use some sort of augmented reality or whatever. And I mean, I know this might be a little bit morbid to some, but if you're going into somebody who has a property exposure and clickable coverage, some sort of a clickable coverage type option, and then have a pop out show of what their actual building would look like on fire and like let that get cemented
Yeah.
into their head. I just think that, when you have the database of the tools, connecting them then becomes the easy part. Honestly, I think building a database of what all you're going to offer is probably the hardest part. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's that, and we get real excited about all the things that we laterally can move into. I'm a big believer in being a champion of our core competencies, right? I think there's a big need out there, and that's what we're focusing on right now. But there's so many things that we talk to people, and they're like, what else you could do, right? And so and it's fun. We're heading out to ITC in Vegas, so I see that you're speaking. We'll definitely be out there to see that.
News to me, man. Like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna be there. But you're like the second or third person who told me that I've got something that's going on. The good news is I never prepare, when I get up and speak in public. I talk off the top of my head
I love it.
every time. Just because of my ADHD, to be completely transparent, I can't do a slide
Script
deck
it.
or it
Yeah,
would derail.
yeah.
I just have to read the audience and go with whatever I think is going to resonate when I'm there. But I know that Ryan Hanley had talked to me about doing a live recording of the podcast while we were out there, or
Nice.
being on a panel. So I'm sure that I will be, and it's nothing new. I just go wherever they need me, man.
I love it. I love it. Well, you do very well. You're a great
Thank
speaker.
you. Yeah, it'll be
Ah,
good to
man.
finally meet you and shake your hand in person. So
Yeah, that's right.
talk a little bit about roadmap, if you will. I mean, I know that we've probably gotten a good bit out that we could. I don't want to cut you too short, but I also don't want to do you a disservice by having us go too long. If we've already, I don't want to talk ourselves out of people coming to here, coming to your website to learn more because we told them everything here either. But what do you see on the horizon? I know we talked a little bit about integrations with other providers, but anything you want to talk about where you see this thing headed moving forward?
So there's a number of different things that we want to do. One of the things that we're also talking with carriers and underwriters is giving, and the agent would have to agree, the insured would have to agree, but giving the underwriters visibility into Riskbly to say, hey, David's landscaping, this is what goes back to the risk management programs to say, this is a timestamp, this is who he's signed, this is what he's implemented, this is what he's working on now, and this is what he's working on in the future, to show, say, in contrast to sending in an Accord, right? saying that they're not lying or anything. To say real time access to say, hey, this is what the insured is implementing, right? This is what they're doing now, and this is what they plan on implementing. David's landscaping company is a low risk, right? So it really changing the landscape, and again, going back to making the agent the expert to lowering those hard costs from premiums, right? They're going to work to lower soft costs, but to give them a direct impact, ultimately to be able to quantify their value, right? To say, hey, this is the experience we give, and this is the financial impact that we give. The whole mission of Riskbly is to make the agent the expert, the hero.
So I got to ask you, man, where did the name come from? I should ask you that first. I forgot.
No, it's good. We went through, so this is my third startup, and you can get really hung up. I wanted something short. My first two have longer company names, and so I wanted the risk, and it just kind of worked out, right? So we wanted something as short as possible, right? So and with the foundation of risk in the name.
There you go.
Yeah.
What have we missed, man?
That's it. So I feel like we
blown through the podcast really, really quick, but I also know there was a period of time of about 15 minutes where I just let you rip. So I didn't have too many questions to ask because you laid it all out.
I appreciate that, man. We're excited. We try to keep it simple, right? There's no there's a setup fee because there's a big work for us to
absolutely. I would expect it
to set all that up, and then afterwards it's just you can go online. It's depending on your size, it's $500 a month, right? There's no contract. We've from tons of our hear from our competitors that an agency's in a 2-year contract. My handshake to each client is, we're here to make you great, right? We want to be a partner. We don't want you to hate us. If you want out, we don't want to have a contract where you're stuck with us, right? We want to work to make you great. Right? We want to provide a platform that supports you and your team, right? So that's it. We keep the demos down to 20 minutes. I can show it to you real fast. If you schedule on riskbly.com, as a business owner myself, when people are like, hey, let's take a 90-minute demo, right? I don't have time for that, right? I can show it to you. If you want to see another one, we can set up another one and do a deeper dive. But to show you how it's tailored, to show it how it's branded to you, to show you what the difference is, that's what we want to do. That's who we want to be.
Cool. How do they find you? How do they find you?
Riskbly.com, right? So go there on LinkedIn. My email is lawsonc@riskbly.com. My phone number is 803-216-5020.
You're like me, man. I have to think about it a little bit because I never call myself.
That's right.
I've got a home phone number and I don't even know what it is. And I'm being completely honest. I don't even know if we have a phone plugged into the jack, to be honest with you, because nobody ever calls you on a landline anymore. And if they do, it's probably not anybody you want to talk to.
That's right.
Yeah, well, listen, man, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come talk. And, I hope that everybody takes this seriously. This is the difference between being a trusted advisor and being a salesperson. And too many people go out and you try and solve somebody's problems by selling them the product that you have that you think solves the problem, when in reality, you're just putting a Band-Aid over a much deeper issue. And that's especially true in the insurance industry, where premiums continue to go up. And unfortunately, your clients and your prospects only realize that about once a year when they see that increase. And you're going to be the one that's left holding the bag unless you're doing something to A, identify, and then B, I would say diagnose, number one, and then also give them the treatment plan to fix those issues. Because here's the thing, people, this helps your client make sure that they're operating their business the right way, number one. But number two, this is also really good information for you to put into a well thought out and crafted submission to underwriting, so they can see that, number one, you understand the risk, but number two, you have the solution to fix the problems in the risk, and it's an easy to use deliverable. And then number three, we didn't talk about this. You might need to correct me if I misspeak here, but you can track that the people are actually doing it and prove that to the underwriter. So many times we go to underwriters and we tell them, we don't show them. If you can show them, case closed. You're going to get the best opportunity, best pricing that you possibly could. They do not trust agents because why? Agents tell them stories, and that's not how we roll, at least in my community. We want to show them what we're doing instead of just telling them. So Riskbly is a way that you're able to do that. I hope that you take the time to reach out to Lawson and check out what he's doing. I'm happy for him. You know, he and I've known each other a couple years now, and I'll be glad we finally get to shake hands and meet in person here in Vegas. So wish you nothing but the best, brother. Thanks for taking time today.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.